If you think the internet today is secure, you are blinded, you are delusional, you are ignorant, which is okay, since nobody could know everything, and it is perfectly okay to be not an expert in the tech area, or maybe you're just plain stupid. I'm I'm not saying that you should stress a lot about security more than some bare minimum. So, as an end user, there are some little things that you could do that will bring you a relatively secure usage of internet, like placing passwords on your computer, placing different passwords on different sites, putting two-pass authentications, the six or more digits, temporary digits that are required for login or for some special operations, and using PIN and fingerprints and so on. And even in these cases, even passwords leak, you could be theoretically okay, since only only the leaked site will be exposed. Only your data on the leaked site will be exposed, and if there are some additional security measures, even the data on the leaked site will be secured and not accessed by unauthorized personnel. So if you're not doing anything illegal, or even if you're doing something illegal but on small scale, not hurting political or local or global powers, some individuals with high power, you could be probably okay with all the stuff that I'm gonna say right now. But if you are a security person or application developer or a hacker, you could probably use one of those ways of interfering with people's stuff. So the first weak point is your internet provider. The internet provider is the company that is licensed to give you internet. So all your activity is going through that small channel. And if there is someone bad right there, he could copy and do whatever with the data that you communicate with the world. The next thing is the network around the world. That is, for example, I read recently on the news that Russian submarines are trying to interfere in between the optical cable that goes between Europe and America. So there are probably a lot of government hardware and software, or software and hardware that is contracted between big corporations to be used by multiple people. So these are weak points that could be used probably. So another thing is DNS, the domain name service. These are services that translate IP names to IP addresses, so the internet is actually usable to non-technical people. And if someone right there in these services is bad, or someone has leaked the control over these services, they could be used as for man-in-the-middle attacks. Another very similar type of interfering is the SSL, Secure Socket Layer. If your site has not installed Secure Socket Layer, HTTPS, all the data between your users and the site is going unencrypted. So you should have SSL. But the way SSL is configured is it is the keys for encrypting stuff is set up by authorities, by intermediate authorities that are validated. But of course, if you are big enough, like Google for example, you could set up your own certificate authority. But if you are not big enough, you have to buy some certificate, and these authorities could be your man in the middle. So another weak point are the operating systems. For example, Mac OS and Windows are owned by Apple and Microsoft, and they're closed source. So you could never know what is underneath. They could have some loopholes for their own interest, or for the interest of the security services. And for the open source operating systems, the providers of hardware that use them could probably install some additional apps or hosts that could monitor the activity of the users. There are, for example, there is one thing like why are Americans afraid of Chinese phones? This should turn on the lamp about this potentiality. Another weak point are the applications. The application layer is actually a Swiss cheese. This is a layer full of holes. It is the holes are depending on the different programming languages used, different versions of the programming languages, different versions of the application servers and the database servers, and insecure administrator setups, and a lot of ways there could be to expose a security issue in the application layer. One very popular type of applications that is widely used are the browsers. So besides some bugs that could be used by hackers, there probably is a channel between the browser installations and the creators of these browsers. For example, Chromium and Chrome, that is communicating heavily with Google services. So next level, encryption. There are a lot of smart people that are trying to invent newer and newer software and hardware that transforms the information so only the desired target user could read it. But the same is true for the bad guys. They are acceleratingly trying to decrypt the communication. So everything in the end in the chip is zeros and ones, mathematical operations, and given enough time, resources, everything is possible. For For example, for one small user with a desktop machine, probably decrypting a message could go for an year, could take an year. But big companies, corporations, and government owned parties, and over the government, over political organizations, probably have a lot of machine power, and with the same message that takes a year for a desktop machine, they could probably decrypt it in 10 minutes or an hour, or who knows, with new ways of quantum computing and a lot of machines with a lot of cores, and who knows. Probably, let me see. Just one example that whatever says about the security. For example, Mark Zuckerberg is said that there is an end-to-end encryption in his services, but 2 weeks ago leaked that the audio messages that were transferred between users were given to contractors for transcription, for transforming from audio to text. So is this end-to-end encryption? You could read on Wikipedia that the popular encryption SSL and even the signal protocol that is used in the messaging apps, and also the asymmetric keys are actually hackable by using brute force, by using enough computing power. And as Bitcoin is using those technologies, it is probably hackable. And what is saving Bitcoin is the distributed characteristic that it copies the signing and all the encrypting operations is copied on the net, on the whole network, and verified, and this is preventing one corporation, one authority to hack the Bitcoin. The distributed characteristic and the reason that for not being hacked is it is distributed, and there is more computing power to it over whatever else type of system. So all security is an illusion. It is just a matter of how important is your information, how important are you, and what are you doing? Are you doing something harmful to the owners of the power or the politics? If you're not doing something harmful, you should probably be calm. You should probably not be afraid, but you should also not be delusional of something that somebody says.